banging on the table because it makes more noise.
I mean this. Hey, I hear that.
All right, you're live.
Thank you. I'll take charge. That's okay. Yes, I'll turn the time over to you as Mike said he wouldn't be here. Mike said he said he'd be late. Yeah, that's right. He said he was a little late.
Those neighbors still reaching out to you about lights?
Lights where? At the airport. Oh, across the street?
Yeah.
What about it? They don't like it?
Oh, remember our conversation? Like, lowering.
Juan was gonna be here, though, right? Juan is here.
I
I'm
thought I saw
gonna
you.
have lost, so I'm sorry.
Sure.
I've been in three different meetings, you know.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm gonna sit
Here, I'm not sure we started.
Yeah, he'll be just on your plane.
At night, the neighbors did that. You might be talking to Dan, you might be talking to. Well, I know that,
Scott.
yeah, I know that there's been some people that have like the lights on the hangers. We just asked the owners to turn them off.
Sorry. So that's this.
Yeah, it should have been, yeah. Yeah, it's okay. You know, hey. Lost, just let that go, and it could.
Well, we're gonna get started with our work session here with Nine Lines. Appreciate everybody being here that wants to be here. Thank you for the public that always shows up, and appreciate those that are online with us as well. We're gonna start off by allowing Buster to make an opening statement and anything else he would like to share before we ask some questions as commission.
So, in the interest of time, I read faster than I think. So, I did make a little bit of a page and a half opening statement, and then I did provide 3 handouts stapled together for everybody on some key points that I think, at least in my perspective, drive to the center of the onion, the root cause, what's going on.
Is this in the packet? Or is this?
It's not in the packet. That I thought of those points after the packet, so those are supplement the packet. So today's bottom line up front, as I see it, is simply: are we talking section 155, 350, or 155, 130 in our code? I'll attempt to hammer home a binary choice, but first, thank you yet again for setting aside your time to review this subject. Nine Line has been working for nearly 6 years with the county to develop the airport in a way that best benefits the community, both in appearance and revenue generation. Up until March of this year, the efforts have been collective and in good faith. But something happened in or around March that flipped the relationship seemingly, and I can't put my finger on the source. I do not see this as a work session. When put in sharp focus, this is really a debate. And the premise of the debate is simple. Is one of the lease enumerated uses legal or not? And the answer to that, I believe, lies in section 350 or section 130 of Title 1, Chapter 155. If I was convinced that what we were asking for was illegal, I would stand down and not waste your time. I am convinced, however, of just work so hard on something only to encounter what I firmly believe is misinformation in the form of public declarative statements from county officials, then I'm compelled to push back. As a financially vested partner to these proceedings, I have committed hundreds of hours to knowing this issue as best I can. We greatly appreciate the selfless efforts of the commission, the attorney, and the staff. But this issue, at least to us, has the appearance of intransigence in the face of facts. Many declarative statements have been made by credentialed people, such as the attorney and planning director, that have tremendous sway on this elected body and the public. And past declarations have been qualified with such words as, quote, FAA regulations, quote, federal law. Yet as we dig into it from a trust but verified perspective, suddenly some of these claims appear to go silent. And therefore I keep digging and verifying. Words matter. At this point, I will stipulate the use of, quote, VRBO has been a bad analogy on my part, and I wish to drop the term completely. What we are really talking about is a, quote, lodging establishment, end quote, which is explicitly defined in Utah Code 29-2-102, which is pasted in handout number 1 that you've been given on page 2 of handout number 1, Utah Code. I searched Google Maps, and there are only 2 commercial lodging establishments that show up in Morgan County. The Comfort Inn behind 7-Eleven and the Bar W Lodge in Peterson. Mountain Green has 0 commercial lodging establishments. If a transient pilot were to fly into our resort valley, they would likely take their lodging needs outside the county. I believe in economic terms that's referred to as leakage. Nine Line plans to give them an option by way of a hangar motel. When asked which code by Commissioner Wilson in the last meeting, Attorney Smith anchored into Title 15, Chapter 155, Section 350 as the, quote, on-point code that outright prohibits it, end quote. I agree with him in that 350 is in fact all about residential units. Utah Code 17-78-1102 defines a residential unit as a residential structure. We are clearly building commercial hangars, not residential structures, which I therefore respectfully argue nullifies Attorney Smith's declaration on August 4th. If that logic sounds about right to you, then Section 155.350 of the code is irrelevant to what Nine Line is applying for. The most logical on-point code for a commercial hangar and a commercial buffer zone is Section 155.130. Commissioner Nickerson's August 4th line of hotel-motel questioning pointed to this logic as well. Furthermore, please note that 2 days after the last meeting, and after having learned that a new CUP was desired, Nine Line did apply for an updated CUP. In the interest of not using the full 1 hour, Nine Line has prepared 3 informative handouts in addition to the pre-work materials previously submitted. We also have other research items at the ready if needed. We contend these handouts speak clearly to our issue. I respectfully ask that you review those as they put a finer point on the debate between Section 350 or 130. In conclusion, since March's initial applications, we have not been informed in writing the status of those permit applications, and we're left to guess on our own. Even if they are denied, it seems appropriate that such formal notification be made to us. Nine Line, a hometown aviation company, is here to ask this body to use its legitimate vested powers to compel the staff to issue the permits we've applied for, including the hangar motel tenant. Thanks.
Thank you. Blaine, do you have any comments or questions?
It's in the lease agreement, so he could have a sticker by it. So, and I like your analysis that you come up with it being a commercial versus residential. It is commercial. So if we're trying to do, and I don't like the leakage either, and I've always stated that, so I'll be on the defensive on that.
back to kind of my comments made in August, the last meeting, was, we set aside this piece of the airport for commercial use. And staying within that area, we're trying to bring a tax base to the airport, because I think we all agree that the lease cost per square foot is extremely cheap, right? And so to encourage additional revenue to help support the airport, so it's not on the backs of the residents, I want to encourage, obviously, aviation-based business. We've had other businesses want to come and put their feet in the airport and create a gym or whatnot, like that is not aviation. So I know Buster and I, we spoke at the airport board meeting the other night, and we were just talking about it. One of the things that I think I said was, the people staying in this thing, they must be accompanied by an airplane. I said they can't drive their car up. That it's for aviator. It's not, hey, this seems like a nice place for me to camp out for a week. It's like the airplane has to accompany the people staying. So I think that was a concern that had been brought up. It was like, well, you could just Airbnb it or hotel rent, whatever, to whoever. But I think I was very clear that no, they must accompany an airplane. I can't show up with my pickup or my Yugo or whatever, but an airpline has to. And I think that's the aviator. That's part of the business. I know that as we've met at the board and discussed with different people, options of trying to bring business to the airport. I was talking to my son the other night about an airplane that he's flying out of Bountiful. There's not enough mechanics. They've had a plane out of service for weeks because they can't get a mechanic to do its annual, or its 100 hour, whatever it was, right? And it's like, there's a need. It's like, how do we draw these businesses here? And a lot of times I'm starting to think, are we putting so many hurdles in, like, it's just not worth the headache. It's not worth the trouble. And so as we work with somebody that is trying to bring these businesses in, how do we get that tax base here to help support our airport? One of the things I was reading in our audit report today was we now have that line item for the airport. We have it for the rifle range. So we know what it costs us to run. So we know where our fees should be. Is it on the backs of the people? Do we need to increase, cost at the airport so it's not on the general public? And we're starting to figure out where that is. But I mean, any of this revenue, we're talking the commercial area of the airport is, I believe, 6 hangars total. So it's not like we have 53 other hangars or so. I'd love to see that commercial part of that airport grow and bring in the revenue. And I think there's going to be some growing pains. I think there's going to be some things that we work through. But I think as we work together, we can make it something pretty cool and very useful to the community. My thoughts.
Really?
Yeah, no, I too would like to see that area grow and bring in a lot of revenue for the county and beautify the airport as well. However, I'm still on the opposite end with the contract. I didn't understand, you wanted the pilot to actually see anything, right? I thought it was housing locally. So I did look up these 2 public airports you have listed, the Sealy Lake, Montana, and the Santa Maria, California, and I spoke to Mike, the supervisor at Santa Maria Public Airport. It's not a public airport. It was turned over to the county in 1949 after World War II. And then the county turned it over to the city in 1964. And then it became a special district. So it's not a publicly owned airport. Speaking with Mike, he says this housing that you see up here is not on the airport property. It's on a piece of private land. It's close to it, but it's not housed. And he was highly saying not to go the route of a Verbo. We can agree with that. And then at the Sealy Lake Airport, that is technically not a public airport either. It is owned by the state. And they do have a hotel on it, that Radisson Hotel. But they too were very leery of doing a pilot seat to play program.
Well, if I may,
Yeah.
even if if I stipulate the premise, which I don't, I've stated the premise, but, I don't think, 50 states, federalized what one state does, legalizing marijuana to another. Like, I don't think that a precedent is required in order to press forward with what I believe is a legal agreement in every manner and form. I don't think I need a precedent. I mean, I bet Elon Musk had pushed back when he suggested we can catch a rocket with chopsticks, but he set the precedent. So if this is a precedent, okay, it's a precedent. I don't think it makes it an illegal precedent. So even if I stipulate, okay, take away all of the comparables, okay, is it still somehow illegal?
Well, to our code, we can have.
Here's the code, here's the code right
I'm
here.
gonna stop it because our code just doesn't allow it.
Can you stop the mics?
Here's the code. Which part?
So, okay, so you have the lease, and just because the lease says you can have an Eviate or Airbnb, it also says that you have to follow our code. And so an Airbnb is residential, it's not allowed on commercial.
So that's. an
And then you go down to the commercial buffer, and you can look at the hotel, motel, bed and breakfasts. It doesn't qualify for any of those per the definitions in our code. Now, with that, I'm not saying you can't change the code to make it work,
And I think,
but you,
sorry, yeah.
yeah, but you can make something work and change the code. But what I would recommend is get a solid plan of how it's gonna look. Because even if you are entitled to a CUP to apply for one, you're not entitled to that CUP unless you fill out the application, you go through all the building codes and fire codes and show us what it's gonna look like and pay the fee and everything. And then it's something that can be completely evaluated based on what it's actually gonna be. But I think a lot of this is talking about everyone has a different picture in their head of what it's supposed to be. And I don't think we know.
So
Can I
which
address that real quick?
Sure.
Sorry, I just want to address a couple things real quick, and I'm going to get to this point. We've submitted architectural plans for this project. They're with the building department. There's full elevations, full floor plans, meet all the code for what's going to happen there, okay? Now, if we miss something in there, or our architect, or engineer, or somebody, but those exist, and we're happy to provide those to the council or anybody to take a look at. It even has renderings of what the exterior of the building would look like from the street side and from the curb side. It's addressed the fire code, it's addressed egress, ingress, and all of those issues. So those already exist. So we're
So
not
what we-
hypothetically making up a building. It already is designed.
So what we were informed from planning today is that application is not complete.
Okay, so
Oh.
let me just address one other thing here, okay? So I just want to address this. I live in this community, and I'm very thankful to be able to live here. Every time I've come before this council or any of these county employees, I'm very thankful for the work you guys do, but for some reason, it feels to me like you guys are trying to make this personal. And I just want to take that out of the mix, okay? So if this is about me and Matt building a building down there, we're happy to step aside because financially it means nothing to me to build the building. I want to build the building because I love our community, and I think we do a really good job in our community. So let's just take us out of the mix, and we can just put that aside, and Buster can get a different contractor if it's personal against us. Now, I don't know if it is or not, but if it is, we're happy to step aside if we're the problem here. But when you say that this has not been designed, I wrote the check for $10,000 for part of the design, okay? So So these drawings exist. The building department has these drawings. They've looked at these drawings. If we need to get these drawings and bring them out here tonight so the commission can look at them,
Are these
let's
newer
do that.
drawings than the first ones? Are these
Yeah,
drawings
absolutely
that
different
show
drawings.
what, I don't know what you were
So-
calling it now. You
so
call it
what-
verbo.
So Ray,
When I
let me
say
explain
the
let me explain the
drawings
process. Let me
is what
explain the
we would
process.
need the drawings in order to look at any code amendments, because it's just not allowed under our
It's a
code.
little different than what you were saying. So let me just explain to Ray what's happening. Okay.
And I don't have any bias towards any of you. I'm from Montana.
Not-
I don't care.
So,
I just read the code and protect the county.
Once again, what we're dealing with, federal and state, I believe it's gone silent. Declarations about federal FAA rules, federal law, that's all gone silent. And I think I know why. They were declarative statements made in the county, and they are unsupportable. So, what you just declared was that county ordinance does not allow it. Please quote it. It's 1.5 page right here, 350. It talks about residential units. I did not apply for residential. A residential unit by Utah definition is a residential structure. If I were to paste a picture of a hangar on a piece of paper next to a picture of a house and ask any citizen, circle all residential structures on this paper, we know what would happen. So I'm not asking for residential unit, and 350 is 1.5 pages long. This is the whole ordinance. This is the ordinance from which it's been declared illegal. Show me in here where it says anything about a commercial building in a commercial buffer zone. This is about residential unit, and I stipulate I am not building or asking for a residential unit, which is a residential structure in Utah code definition, which I can give you the quote on that. I did give you the quote, and I'm happy to do it again if somebody wants to look it up. So 155.350 is irrelevant because it explicitly talks residential units, and I'm not asking for residential units.
And
So what code are you referring to when you say it's against our code?
so you can't have an Airbnb in a commercial.
I didn't ask for an
Okay,
Airbnb. I
right?
asked for a motel.
Okay, so then you're gonna have to apply for a conditional use permit. If you read the definition of hotel in our code, it's 16 or more people.
And guess what? I asked for a motel. And what's the
Okay,
definition of
motel, you have to be serving the
the
motorized
motoring
public,
public.
and that's not aeronautical public.
Oh, in your interpretation. An airplane
a
is not a
motor.
motorized vehicle?
It's a motor. Okay, but you still have to apply for the conditional use permit and follow all the
August
code
6th
and
I did,
everything.
and I paid $311.
So,
And here's the receipt from August 6th for $311.
so it sounds, I'm just gonna step in. So, you've applied for a new
I did,
CUP,
August 6th.
asking for a motel. So the process sounds like it has been started, asking for a different CUP. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
An updated CUP. So at this point, if he's asked, and again, let's put it out here. So there's our receipt for a new CUP with drawings, plans, asking for a motel. That CUP application should be processed, thank you. And then at that point, once it's processed, it will either be accepted or denied. Is that correct? So I guess my question right now is, I think we're all sitting here saying, if a CUP has now been applied for, the application is complete. He's asked for whatever it is he's asking for.
It's not complete.
So,
It's
okay.
been denied.
So
And I believe the understanding is that fire, maybe Chris can talk more directly
I
to
think
the-
Chris can talk to it because there's actually three
Harassment for
So,
there's three different applications that have come in, and I think Chris can address each of those. And starting with the shells, then the tenant improvements, and then the CUP.
I think really that's where it comes down to.
Speak into the mic.
Okay, sorry. First off, it's been great working with all of you, right? It's a tough situation. The building permits were applied for. The building department determined that there was no interior documentation of the buildings. Therefore, that brought up the communication that we would approve the shells only, okay?
That's all we asked for
Yep,
approval.
and that was communicated to everybody. Those still are not complete due to we are awaiting the payment for those shells, okay? So we're still awaiting that, therefore they're not complete, just for clarity, okay? The next, the TIs, the tenant improvement, they were denied due to the bedrooms being specified on the plans. And I think I've communicated that to you
It's a motel.
well, no, not at that time. Not at that time. Remember the TIs, the tenant improvement.
So putting the roofs on.
And I haven't received anything on that, Chris, yet, but
And those have been, that application part of it was denied for that portion.
when did that happen and how do we get informed of that? Typically, we would get
An email.
an email,
Yep.
which I have not seen yet. Did I miss it or did we not get it? or-
Possibly, I reconfirmed it today when I was made aware of this. I wanted to make sure that there was factual material that I presented to you. And so we can go over that, okay? Then I had an opportunity of communicating with Buster and understood that he was maybe going a different direction. And that conditional use permit that you came into the office, that we talked about, you applied for on August 6th, and that is currently under review. And I have spoken with Golden Barrett, the fire marshal. He's looking into some of his stuff, right? Obviously, the building department, we're looking at our part with continually reviewing the plans that have been submitted. But really, the conditional use permit's gonna come down to the zoning and whatever conditions are put on by planning or by the commission. So,
So if there are hoops to jump through, we will jump through. I'm looking for a declaration that this has not in any way been proven illegal. There's been blanket declarations made by people with probably best intention opinions. But as I have dug in, I have read federal code, state code, Utah code, county code. There's nothing illegal about this. You don't need to be a lawyer. You just need to read English. And so, for example, the CUP thing and the timing. I've stated it 100 times if I've said it once. I'm an aviator, not a developer. But everybody doesn't have these handouts. And so I talked about the CUP mixed messages. In April of 2025, YouTube timestamped. Commissioner Fackrell, are we willing to let him have one of them as a VRBO? Attorney Smith, well, I suggested that to him because I want to distinguish it from phase one. That was one of the discussions we had. If you did something like that, let's make it more of a commercial theme motel rather than rather than a long-term private aircraft storage. It's allowed under the CUP. I already have a CUP on the Nyland building. It's allowed under the CUP. We have it under the CUP. The CUP is very general related to aviation businesses at the airport, so there's no need to amend the CUP. So I was working off of that understanding. On August 4th, I hear a new CUP is required. On August 6th, I'm in here doing it. Tell me what hoops, I'll jump through. But if you make declarative statements that it is somehow illegal or prohibited, please back up your statement in law.
It's not allowed unless you have a conditional use permit.
Read
That
the
follows
words for me,
everything.
please. Oh, I get that part,
Yeah,
part.
I'm not saying it's illegal.
And-
I'm
and what
saying
you-
It's come down
it's
to-
not allowed until you get the conditional use permit.
So I guess this is a debate that only certain people can speak to. I mean, you're the one that framed it as a debate.
Yes, sir, please.
And as you just read that, was there any talk about a pilot? I said I suggested it to you as a VRBO to distinguish it from phase one of the airport, because that's long-term aircraft storage. And there I said, short-term aircraft storage. And so there was never a meeting of the minds to what you had envisioned in your head to what I was presenting to the commission based on our agreement. And so I think if you look at it, your initial CUP allowed for storage of aircraft in your hangars as part of your supporting your commercial activity. Your narrative in your initial one talked about aircraft repair, paint shop, whatever else it was included in there, so you wouldn't need to amend a CUP to store aircraft. But to store people, to lodge people, that's different.
It is not, respectfully. It is not because I said publicly, and in August 4th, and I have the timestamps, I'd have a rewritten out timestamps, I've been typing it.
I've already sent it to the commission.
Said on August 4th that there was a meeting, and there was not a meeting of the minds for exactly what you just said. I said sleep with your plane. Okay, so clearly you and I did not have a meeting of the minds. But that doesn't matter, because all of these elected officials voted to approve a lease as written that we had up here. So maybe you and I didn't have a meeting of the minds, but the power resides right here if I understand my civics lessons. So all I'm asking is this body, the power of this body, to compel the staff to do what is right, which is what's in the agreement, which maybe you and I didn't understand, and I apologize for that. But you even said it is prohibited by 350. That is false, because I'm not.
It's not false.
Well, you tied it.
That's
up.
my understanding, and I stand behind it.
said as a
Because a
residential
short-term aviator lodging, the closest thing that falls under our code to short-term anything is our short-term rental.
You anchor in the short term, I anchor in the lodging. And you know what else is in lodging? Lodging establishment is defined in Utah code.
In Utah code,
Yeah.
it is. But also hotel, motel, other things are defined in our code as well.
Well, the power's right here. And they voted on it, and we have an agreement. And I have tried and only gotten to say part of my story and listened to declarations of know-it-alls on Facebook and everything else. All these people on Facebook that are, declaring this isn't legal, that's not right. I know this subject. I have self-educated myself on this subject. And if I was wrong, I will say I'm wrong. But I have learned I am right. Until somebody proves otherwise, I am right.
And I think that's fine to say, and I guess I'll just say, I've given my recommendation, my interpretation of the code. You have a zoning administrator that's given their interpretation of the code. If you want USIP, our insurance carrier, whoever it is that you want someone else to come in and tell you what I've told you that they've said, we can do that.
I'd like to address the use of. So the claim was in the advice being given is some connotation of increased liability. I mean, I got liability if somebody slips on my sidewalk going up to my front door,
Right.
County's got liability if somebody hurts themselves. Have you been out and watched daily operations on the airport? Have you watched the bicycles, the children? I've seen children with remote control airplanes by the front with their dad. Okay, so is somehow a motel change that equation? People who fly in expensive airplanes are gonna do something that enhances the liability such that USIP or whatever that insurance plan is somehow changes the calculus on the airport. My point would be, no. There's nothing different about having a motel there. Somebody flies in on a Monday, they depart on a Saturday. One arrival, they go skiing all week, one departure. How does that change what we do right now? Why is USIP even brought in? If not to try to sway the county to thinking that this is a bigger deal than it is.
Because they're our insurance indemnity pool, and they advise us on what we advise our county. And no, I haven't been out to the airport. I don't live out there. I don't watch the day-to-day operations. But I do know that they've talked about it at airport advisory board meetings, or at least the one I attended, that it was an issue.
And I would like to give some history so I went digging in the old airport files, and in 2005, the same issue came back, and there was a lot of presentations and testimony presented by David Gardner, Pat Morley from the Utah Department of Transportation Division of Aeronautics. And he told the council that, well, at the time they were talking about selling the airport property for hangar homes or just building hotels or hangar homes or stuff like that on that. And it was highly recommended, and the commission or the council shot down hangar homes or any kind of lodging at the airport at that time, as well as selling the airport. And what they really wanted to focus on was aeronautical activities and building up the airport that way. So the commission has addressed this extensively before, and it's been shot down.
We're gonna address it right now.
So,
Well, and
I don't wanna sit and argue about this.
so let me just add one little thing. Let me just add one little thing here that I think is confusing this issue. So the term VRBO or short-term rental or anything like this, you know, in all of our discussions, that was used as a concept. Now, clearly, when you talk about VRBO or Airbnb, it can have a negative connotation to it. Like I think about my neighbors renting out their home and they're having a big party there and all of that. And so there's, we've developed ordinances and codes around a residential home, which we're allowing to rent out. This is not that. This doesn't fit that. This is commercial property. Buster is not allowed. We're not allowed. We can't even, his lease is so restrictive. I cannot put my airplane in his hangar and rent his hangar personally, okay? Buster cannot put his own airplane inside that hangar he builds unless it's related to the business purpose of the lease. Now, the commission very carefully established that because they determined they wanted this to be commercial. They wanted this to generate revenue. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to leave this as commercial. Now, we keep mixing in this residential use or commercial use, and I think that's kind of confusing the issue. But the reality is, does this commission want this to be commercial? And if they want it to be commercial, they've got to allow him to be successful. He's not going to invest his money if he can't be successful at it. And so he's so restricted already. Either remove his restrictions to allow him to be successful and do something else, or alternatively, look at what he's allowed to do that's not a problem at all. He can bring in a flight school tomorrow, okay? If I lived in the Cottonwoods, I would have a fit with 10 airplanes flying around my house for 8 hours a day, and we're talking hundreds of landings. This has been a huge problem for the Bountiful Airport, the Sky Park, for Spanish Fork, okay? Also for Brigham City now, where Utah State's moved down there. And kids got to learn how to fly, that's one thing, but to bring in a commercial flight school, which is one viable option that Buster would have that he's completely allowed to do right now, that he doesn't really want to do things that affect our community in a negative way. That's a negative thing. So we look at these options as something that, and we all got together, we all talked about it, and when this idea came up, everybody thought this was good for our community as we talked about it. Now, I think we just have to address that. And if it's something you guys absolutely don't want, then tell him what you do want. Or if it's something that's absolutely, not allowed, tell him it's absolutely not allowed. And if it's us, we'll step aside and let somebody else do it. I just want what's best for our community. So that's my opinion on it.
And when we were doing the contract, Buster, you had a bunch of different examples of different businesses that would be brought in. And this wasn't really a focus at all. So it's pivoted to become the focus, and it was never my focus. I never saw that coming at us at all. I saw the other businesses that you were talking about when we were doing the lease, but then when did it actually pivot?
It
never did pivot. So as far as when this was all being discussed in past council meetings, many examples were given. And of all the examples given, prop shop, paint shop, propeller repair shop, or I already said prop shop, airframe and power plant, avionics, FBO, all of them were mentioned. The VRBO one actually got more legs than all of them as far as the discussion goes. I'll bet you more seconds were spent in public discussion on that concept, which again, drop the VRBO is bad use, bad on me, words matter, right? Hangar motel, commercial.
And in my mind, I'm thinking VRBO for airplane,
Well,
not for human.
it says aviator, aviator.
So that's just what my
Aviator.
mind was thinking.
Okay, well,
So-
I'm,
But I'm not
Yeah.
a
So-
pilot.
So,
So where it's
Raylene, his lease prohibits him from doing what he just said.
yeah, I can't store airplanes.
It doesn't,
Right, that's why we were talking
it doesn't
about it.
prohibit the short-term storage. That's how we distinguished it in the quote that you just read.
Stipulates all of that. But, so, the reason that this is mountain has been made, well, I don't know really why this mountain got made. I thought everything was copacetic, and then all of a sudden, I'm persona non grata. I thought I love everybody here, right? We just have a disagreement. I'd like to keep it in the proper context. I'm grateful that somebody steps up and represents our county. But there are times when each of us in life is gonna find themselves wrong. And if I'm wrong here, I would not be fighting if I would gracefully bow. But the reason that this is an issue is because I have been shaking the bushes at other businesses to try to get satellite, precision propeller buoys. I've been to 4 different avionics shops. You wanna set up an avionics shop here, this is what I'm doing, show them the plans. Airframe and power plants, talked to all of them. And they are like, that's a tough spot for flying. Day only, good weather, can't shoot an instrument approach, check that the avionics I fixed are working. I don't have the signals here. So it's a tough sell. So my gamble is my backstop. If I can't get these companies coming, I got 3 airplanes. I want the convenience of a propeller repair shop. I want the convenience of a guy that can touch up my paint. I want to just pull my airplane next door and get it taken care of. I too want the same thing. But this is my safety net on risk. I believe that where we live, as we all graciously thank our blessings for this valley, is people want to come here and visit. And I believe that if I'm losing money on these 2 hangars, this hangar is likely to be making money. So it's my backstop. And I need my backstop, so I am fighting for my backstop.
So it's one hangar out of the 5 you're talking about?
Well, it depends. If it's like Field of Dreams, I'm gonna build them, and if once they're up, it inspires these avionics shops and these propeller repair shops to come in, first dibs. But if I'm sitting on them for 2, 3 years, empty shells, I'm gonna reserve the right each of those leases allows. And I'm gonna, if my gamble is correct, then the one motel is got a lot of demand and it's making money, and this hangar's been sitting as a shelf for 2 years, I'm gonna reserve my right to make that one motel.
So where I'm leery is I've talked to a lot of airport managers and supervisors from all over. And I've yet to have one say, oh, that's an awesome idea. That's just, I'm like, why isn't someone saying, that is so cool, that's awesome, which it is an awesome idea, right? But the other ones are on private property off the airport.
So I put this picture in your materials that you all sent, sorry for the small postage stamp, but it's in the pre-work materials. This is actually, there's 82 airplanes here. This was 2 weeks ago at a Utah, or an Idaho State Airport. Jane called John, there's my airplane and my tent. I spent 3 nights living 20 feet off the runway with 82 other airplanes. Great time. America, freedom.
Yeah.
It was awesome. This is an Idaho State airplane called airfield called Johnson Creek. Okay, publicly owned. And 82 airplanes had tents and were sleeping temporarily on this airplane. And I played cornhole with the president, Katie Pribble, in the semifinals. President of AOPA, Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, largest dumb luck that we ended up, the guy, I didn't even know who she was, couldn't pull her out of the lineup. But we're throwing, she sees my Opa hat, thanks me for it, I'm like, oh, why are you thanking me? I'm the president. I was like, I'm still gonna beat you. So, but it was America, and it was fun, and that was on a public airport. There were hundreds of people camping. So if precedent is a concern, I don't know if that qualifies or not for you. Each are vested with your own decision authority, but
The ones that I spoke to, or we spoke to, was their fear was tied to federal funds. That was their fear. If you ever need to do that, this is my concern, they're like, I'd be very aware, but it's all tied to federal funds. That's what I think. And so,
Yeah, they said you have more leeway if you're not tied to
correct. Yeah,
federal
I mean, it's
funds,
just like we talked about
obviously.
getting grants for the federal, there's a lot of strings attached to the federal money. So, I mean, we're getting kind of short on time. We do have our commission meeting. I would just like a little clarification if I may. So, I believe, Janet, and clarify if I'm mistaken, that it is currently illegal because there's no CUP for a motel. Is that?
Correct.
If the CUP would come through and be approved, the motel would be legal. Is that correct?
Potentially,
I
and
just-
we may need to update our definition of motel,
Well,
but
that's-
it's
I
not,
just wanna make
it's
sure I
not
was-
insurmountable.
My brain
If,
was thinking properly. So the next question is, for me, as an electrician, I've dealt with a lot of having habitable structures above garages and shops. It basically comes down to how much money do you want to spend for fire separation, sprinkler systems. For the money, you can do it. That just comes down to engineering and making sure that you're checking the boxes to be able to build what you want to do. I did a house down in Sandy, up in Pepperwood. I mean, this guy had a full-blown ATV repair shop in his garage with a living space above it, and I was amazed at what he had to do because the ductwork running through the ceiling and floor joists to be able to separate it for fire. I don't think that's our concern. I think that concern lies if the planning department says, hey, this is what we require per fire, per code. That's then up to you to decide whether you're going to spend that kind of money. That I don't think that's our decision to make. I think that's, again, that's me personally. If it can be done, I mean, let's look at some of the building we've done in this county. There's places, there's homes, I can't believe they're building homes. Like, that's crazy. But hey, with the engineers and the materials and the money, you can build it. So I think it just comes down to legality. If the CUP that has now been applied for comes through and is approved, maybe some tweaks or changes or whatever, it sounds to me that then it just comes down to the building department and what are they going to require, what will the fire department require so that people can be safe, you know, if they're living above. It's basically a garage is what it is. I mean, it's, having an airplane there is no different than, in my opinion, than living upstairs from a garage, which when we build a home, we have fire separation, fire rated walls, doors, all sorts of things so that that fire, if it starts, does not spread to the habitable locations. And again, that just comes down to that. I don't, that's kind of what I'm seeing. If I'm misspeaking on
Decide whether we have a majority on staff.
to proceed on CUP.
Well, I hope they're proceeding on the CUP.
I don't think that's the case. The CUP is in process. There's no decision to be made by this group at this point. We let the CUP go through its process. If there's an issue that needs to be addressed in the code to change it, we change it. I'm a strong believer that this body doesn't have the authority to just make decisions. We have to follow the code. Now, if we don't like the code, we change the code, right? And we have the authority to do that, but we have to make sure that we're following the current code, and then if we change it. There's one more thing that I wanted to address really quick, Buster, with you, and that was, I know that there's been comments made on social media and that sort of thing. I don't think any of those are fair because I think most of the people making those comments are not involved in any of this, frankly. And to my knowledge, nobody in this vicinity of this room has been involved in any of those discussions on social media. So I hope you know that regardless of what anybody decides to say out there, that's their business. That's not our business. And I don't take my cues from social media. I don't think any of the commissioners do.
I don't
Neither
read
does
it.
our staff.
Don't read it.
So
I did not mean to imply that.
No,
So
no.
if it was, I apologize.
you weren't implying that. I was merely stating
wife-
that because
my
I
wife-
wanted you to know that that's not just because you read crap on there doesn't mean that's how we feel or how the staff feels or anybody else in this building feels. That
The reason I was tying that in, I apologize, is when I said declarative statements that sway the commission and the public. So I've never had one account ever on social media. Boy, am I glad that's but I see my wife over the shoulder on the phone, look at this, look at that, and they're repeating these declarations of illegality. And I'm just like, I would have taken a hook, line, and sinker if I had not done the deep dive. I did the deep dive, and I'm like, there's nothing in our code that I can find that prohibits a motel in a commercial buffer zone for the motorized public, of which, you know, if you're can you get a DUI on an electric bicycle? Yes, it's a motorized vehicle.
You get one on a horse.
You can get one on a horse. So if you can get a DUI on a motorized electric bicycle, what makes an airplane not a motorized vehicle?
well, I'm not debating any
No,
of
so
that.
it's
My
not-
whole comment was just
I
social
could
media
debate,
is
but
what
I'm
it is.
going- But-
Please don't think that
You think
that is any of us going on there and trying to stir the
Main
pot.
things play airplanes asleep.
They do, right, when their motor's off?
In the movie Planes.
You see the movie?
Buster, can you educate me on FBO versus motel? Can pilots stay the night at FBO?
Pilots do. There are pilot lounges at FBOs, usually with really nice lazy boys, because they're waiting for a rich client to come back who doesn't show up and wants to leave at 4 a.m, so they sleep at the VRBO or at the FBO, the fixed base operator. But there's not traditional lodging as defined by Utah code as a lodging establishment. So I don't know if that answers your question, but there are crew rest facilities at VRBOs.
Too many acronyms.
VRBO.
The VRBO.
I apologize.
I know what you meant.
So just to clarify, so really, we just need to let the CUP run
So
its
Chris,
course.
can you give us an update on the CUP? You said it was in process.
He said it was denied. Or
I
something.
apologize, I'll talk really loud, but it is under review. I am putting notes together right now to meet with the team that I have in place right now. That is including the senior planner. And I will also pull Dustin in. Dustin really doesn't have much to do with the conditional use permit because that would, his involvement would be the tenant improvements. The tenant improvement plans that we reviewed, they would not be fitting. They would not pass. There's got to be specified 2-hour firewalls. There can't be any penetration into the living quarters, into the storage area of the planes. There can only be accessible from the exterior, different things like that for that.
We understand
Yes,
all that.
it's
The
close.
typical process that I've dealt with in the past is we submit a plan. If there's something missing or a detail missing from a plan, you guys simply inform us and we get that detail to you. I mean, that's typically the process, but that's not really the process here, you know? So if for some reason we missed a firewall detail or
Well, I
something
think-
like that, just let us know and we'll get it. So.
It's in review.
I just
will provide
wanted you to also say, I will get, because I haven't seen anything come back to say denied. I
On the
think John
conditional
or I would have seen something saying, hey, this was denied.
You're mixing them up. The tenant improvement was denied, but the CUP that was just submitted is just in review.
Understood. I didn't get anything even on the tenant improvements.
And again, Garrett, on that, now if they're denying that process based on you guys or on code or on something like that, I understand that. But if they're denying it because they think some detail was missed on the plans, that's just kind of strange to me. Just
My
let us know.
understanding,
If
John,
they
is
think we
that-
missed a detail, we'll fix it.
Maybe I'm wrong here, but my understanding is that the tenant improvement was denied because there is no CUP. Is that correct? I mean,
Well, and it took us months to remove someone who was living on the airport,
Whatever
so
we want in
living on the
there.
airport's not allowed. It took us months to remove people that were living on the airport. So it's not allowed under our code, and I know that we've gone back and forth. And the commercial buffer is an underlying zone. It's not the airport overlay is a superseding zone on top of commercial buffer. And the discussion of commercial buffer is to say, even the underlying zone is commercial, not residential. Now, I think the best thing you've brought up today, Buster, and I'll just give you credit for it, is you're focusing on the lodging and you're trying to get rid of the short term, which looks at a different analysis of the code that wouldn't fall under the short-term rental. Because the short-term rental, once again, that's where it's like, if we're talking about VRBOs for airplanes, we're talking about short-term rentals. Like, that's what it is. And that's what all the records show that we were talking about. I get you're pivoting away from that now, which is fine. And it allows us to reanalyze it to say, okay, is this something that isn't residential and can be figured out through our code? But I just hope you understand that I put a lot of hours with you to get us to where we're at. I mean, we spent a lot of time back in 2022. We've met multiple times, and I feel like I've given you ideas that you've taken and run with, and hopefully it works out the way that that works for everyone, right? And it's not just for one side. I do take issue. I feel a little blindsided today because you're trying to quote me with your commentary in the background as you're quoting me. I feel like it's out of context and not accurate to what the context of the discussion was. And then when I'm saying, well, that's exactly what I said, and you're like, but it's different in the context. I mean, I was in those meetings too. And so if you're wanting to work in good faith, it doesn't feel that way when you're nitpicking what we're saying. And I'm happy to meet with you and chat through it if that's what you want to do. But I guess at the end of the day, it was VRBO, it was short-term rental, it wasn't lodging. And I get you're advocating your position and you're saying, forget all that stuff I said and let's just focus on this now. But it's not fair to say that the short-term rental and the interpretation of the code is wrong and it's whatever. That was the focus. And I'm willing to have an open mind and look at it from a new perspective. So thank you for bringing that perspective. But once again, the commercial buffer is an underlying zone. The airport overlay is a superseding zone. And so we'll just need to make sure that it still fits.
And airport overlay zone, I read the whole chapter. There's nothing in there that talks about lodging, motels, hotels, there's silent.
Well, it's specific to commercial aviation related activities as approved by the owner of
I've always asked
the
for
airport.
commercial.
So
I was wrong to conflate VRBO with commercial. I stipulated, I will drop that term. It was a poorly chosen analogy.
In the wording in the lease, it doesn't say VRBO or
but short-term rentals.
that whole concept.
So, and I
The
think we
lease-
can move. Buster and I have come to a meeting of the minds, and I think we need to move forward. So,
It's time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
What was that?
Just got slapped by us.
Okay.
Sorry, it's taking so long.
Court reporters.
Thanks, Buster. It's good to see you. And, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Buster.
I was sliding down.
Oh, I like Buster. Buster's a good guy. His yard turned out nice.
You guys ready? Let's do it.
Hey, you're not staying? Oh, come on. This is hours of enjoyment. I've done that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our August 18th commission meeting. Appreciate your attendance. I think you got left. Better start paying attention. He'll be out of here. Welcome those that are online as well. We're gonna we just finished our work session with 9 lines. Yeah. And we're going to have a prayer by Honorable Commissioner Fackrell, and he'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance also.
Our Father in heaven, this afternoon we're grateful for this opportunity that we have to be here and to be able to serve and to be able to discuss the necessary things that need to be discussed within our county to help to continue to beautify and to make this a better place to live. We're grateful for our country and for the freedoms that we have, that we can do those many activities and things within the country that can benefit us all. We're thankful for the blessings of rain that we've had this week. We pray that that will bless us with more, that we may be able to fill the reservoirs and be able to take care of those necessities that we need in our lives. We are thankful and we pray that we may be able to have the blessings of thy Spirit to be able to be with us this night, that we may be able to make the right decisions for the benefit of our county. These things we pray for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Fackrell. I have to admit, I didn't get every policy read. I passed out before I could go through it all. I'm assuming our attorneys have gone through that.
We've done a full red line, made a few changes that were incorporated into what went into the packet.
Did anyone have any questions on anything that they did read? Okay, I'll look for a motion then.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Have a motion by Commissioner Nickerson and a second by Commissioner Newton. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Commissioner, declarations of conflict of interest. Do we have any tonight? Okay, I have none, so we'll move on to our action items. Looks like, or I'm sorry, yes, it's in blue. That's why I couldn't see it. We want to invite our public, anyone that's here from the public that would like to address anything that's on our agenda tonight. Our public comment period is going to be, okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, action item number 1, E1. I guess Josh isn't here.
Mr. Chair, I move that we postpone action item E1 to our next meeting on September 1st.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Newton and a second by Commissioner Fackrell. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Sean, you like coming to these meetings, don't you?
May I ask, Mr. Chair, we don't have our screens.
So,
I don't have my screen here.
oh, yeah.
I mean, I have mine other here, but
Yeah,
ads.
Yeah.
it's on page 266. At least it is on mine. Would be the contract.
Cool. Cool. All right, good evening, commissioners. This is just getting your approval. This is for the grant money that we were just awarded from the state. This is for the PLSS. We were awarded $24,836.80. That will be for the rest of 26 and then 27 year. I'm just asking for your approval and signatures.
So this is just for monument preservation, correct? Kind of what, when we made that ordinance.
Correct.
So this to support that.
Yep.
No, it's great that that money is available, and hopefully we'll continue to get grants to, because I know when we looked over it, it's not cheap to replace those and to find them and to do all that, so
Correct.
it's great.
And I'm grateful we're gonna have some people that take them out get to pay for them to put them back in, because that's only fair to our community, so.
May I ask?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to ask first. Okay, Sean, is this the same grant money that we've been getting for all these years? I mean, it started out about 42,000 that Brenda got, and it's just decreased from there. Is there any way to get higher amount?
The more work and the more inventory that we can show that the county's given back, the more money that we could potentially get. So it's decreased because we're not showing that the county is doing any work. So hopefully, starting going forward, we can start showing that we're doing more work and putting more effort into the monument preservation, and then we can start getting more from the state with
Okay,
grants.
So what was that money used for then, that we were getting?
Tell us.
So you're,
Like you saying, if we show we're doing something with it, I thought we were doing something with it.
you're only getting 5 to 8 monuments a year. With the money that we're spending for our contracted surveyor, the price paying them to do it is extremely expensive. So we're not getting as much as we would as if we had the in-house surveyor.
So we're probably never gonna get more unless we put money ourselves in, is that what you're saying?
No, it's by quantity of number of monuments we save.
Well, no, but they're the
Right.
same cost.
Well, no,
So-
because it's passed through to a subcontracted surveyor, and that was part of our reasoning for hiring a surveyor, was when they're not doing contracted stuff, we can use them for our things. And so we have them on the books, we can get more, that's my understanding, is we get. How's it going, Jerry? But by having that surveyor in-house, when they're not doing things that's passed through for the planning department, we can use them to get more monuments because they're in-house. We're not subcontracting. So I think that's the idea, is we'll be able to get more done because that survey will be in-house and we're not subcontracting. It'll
We're
be
gonna
cheaper.
get more for less, so it increases.
Correct. That's my understanding.
Correct.
So hopefully by showing that, are we moving forward on our surveyor? I know we've discussed just briefly, but hopefully we're getting close and.
We hope so.
Excellent. So, so hopefully if we get that in-house surveyor, things move forward, this, I think to answer Commissioner Fackrell's question, is this number should increase because now we're showing we're doing more.
Correct.
So,
And then we also started part of the fund to go into a fund similar to that for monuments, didn't we?
Yeah, the Monument Preservation Fund?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that'll help once we get a surveyor.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll look for a motion then.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agreement with the State of Utah Division of Technical Services, the Geospatial Resource Center, the Monument Replacement Restoration Funding to not exceed $24,836.
I'll second it.
Have a motion by Commissioner Nickerson and a second by Commissioner Blocker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Janet?
Janet Christopherson, Deputy County Attorney. So I am here to request two commissioners to basically Janet-proof my life and supervise me and help me with development agreements. So I know that Chair Wilson and Commissioner Newton are over the planning department. And so that's initially who I was going to ask for. But since Chair Wilson is leaving, I don't want to get attached and then abandoned. 'Cause it just breaks my little heart. So I was hoping we just move down to Vice Chair Nickerson. And if I could have those two help me negotiating from inception when I get these development agreements. I do have one that I just got a couple weeks ago that is a town center where they are requesting a reduction in commercial. So it would be nice from the get-go to have some help and extra eyes.
I actually think that's working well. I think it worked well with the Cottonwoods, and I think it's a great idea. I think we should have been doing them a long time ago, so, yeah.
Come if you want to come, Chair.
Well,
We just have to notice it as a.
As long as there's,
Oh, that's true.
as long as there's
That
not
we'd
more than
have to
three, or
read.
we notice.
Never
it.
mind. You don't get to.
so, okay. Do we need to make a motion on this one? I don't know as we do we?
I think if there's a consensus, if everyone's okay with that, I don't think it
Anybody
requires
have a
motion.
problem with that?
I don't.
Okay, all right. Congratulations, you two.
Yay. Thanks. More meetings to go to.
Yes.
Thanks, Janet. Thanks for all you do behind the scenes. I know you do a lot in that department. That's great. Okay, Honorable Garrett Smith.
So this is a request, and I'll just say thank you again last year for giving budget for a deputy attorney. Hasn't worked out so far, and to fill the gaps, we've, in fact, temp legal was taken down to zero completely. So I've been borrowing to have Dean cover Justice Court. You may recognize Julia. She's been here a number of times. She's our intern and has done fantastic work. Really has put in a lot of effort and is worth more than we pay her for sure. But she's doing a great job. So I'm just hoping that this will be a gap to finish the end of the year. I think Janet and I have not gone to any training this year, just so that we can have the help that we need in the office, and we're hoping, yeah, that this will be enough to make it to the end. But it does come from the permanent employees, which would have gone to the deputy attorney as the salary, and so I can't just move it out of that to use it. So that's why I'm making this request.
Mr. Chair, I move that we.
Hang on. Blaine has a question.
Oh,
So, when we had Justice Court, what did we hire this year? Wasn't that a Justice Court person at 4,000 a month?
That is to represent the indigent, those that
Indigent
can't
only?
afford. So it's only for defense, not for prosecution.
Okay. All right. Answers it.
Yeah, so the county has to pay for any defendants who can't afford their own attorney. We have to pay for them to be represented.
I thought that person was also supposed to be taking care of some other cases also.
So you have to have a prosecutor and then the defense attorney to represent the interests of the state versus the interest of the individual defendants.
So that's why the defense attorneys are under me, as are the conflict attorneys,
Do we use that budget a lot?
all the time.
Really?
Well, there's a contract, so it's a flat fee, and then there's a little bit of
Additional for
buffer
conflict of
to pay
interest.
for the conflicts. And we hope that there's enough in there to pay conflicts through the year. But I am asking at this budget session to have it go to Kate completely, because I don't want there to be a conflict of me choosing the prosecutor's opponents. Because that could be looked at, oh, I'm looking for someone who may not represent the defendants well, which that doesn't work either. We prefer the best that we can get.
So even if you had an in-house attorney you could not cover that
No.
under justice court.
No, we've always
No.
had a contract. Previously, it was with Weber County. They're the ones that dissolved that contract. So that's why I believe you sat on that board to select martial law.
Right.
And then now we also have Colton McKay as our conflict of interest attorney should martial law be conflicted on that case. And we're actually in the process of contracting an additional conflict of interest attorney because we do have a case coming up where both of our defense attorneys are conflicted.
Okay, so, in the future, are we going to be able to get somebody other than the contracted dean? Or is it always gonna be that case? I mean that way.
Oh, the plan would be to have a deputy attorney come in as the prosecutor for justice. And so
That's what I'm asking.
Doug, at the beginning of the year, was coming in to take that over. That was the intent. We still had Dean there to help train him and cover it because it's at the same time as our commission meetings. But eventually, that would be the plan, is to have a deputy attorney that can take the justice court, probably take a lot of what I do in the district court and the juvenile court as well, so that I can,
But
Have more.
indigent defense will always be on contract.
Okay.
yeah, because
But the
they're,
justice court could be on no, it would be an employee.
the
For the
justice court
prosecution
prosecutor
side.
could be an employee,
Okay.
but defense would be a contractor.
And we have to pay for the defense also.
If they meet the requirements where they cannot afford an attorney, then yes.
Yeah, it's a Sixth Amendment right that we have to foot the bill for.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Reagan?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the budget adjustment as requested, moving funds from the attorney payroll and benefits line item to temporary legal costs.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Newton and a second by Commissioner Fackrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Kate?
Do you want to do the next one or you want me to?
I can do it. So this is one that came for my signature. It's something that we've talked about for a couple years, I think. So it may have been approved in a prior commission meeting, but as far as this current version of the contract with the new effective dates, we wanted to make sure that it was approved in a commission meeting. And so just looking for approval of the contract and then authorization for Kate, Leslie, and myself to sign it.
And specifically, this is for the
Pavement
of the preservation of the airport, which you've awarded the contract to Morgan Pavement. They're waiting for that car show, plane show that you approved the conditional use permit, is August 29th, 28th. So they're waiting until after that's done to do the improvement, which actually worked out great because our county started on fire and a lot of helicopters took off from Mountain Green.
Okay. So you're asking for authorization for you to sign it?
Just to sign
as
the
name of the
grant
sponsor.
agreement.
Okay. Why can't we have the chair do it? Because
And I think we have
that's
in the
under
past, and so
executive.
I think it's fine. Whoever the commission authorizes to sign it is fine.
I'm just looking at the executive authority versus other authorities is all. And do we pass that on to an employee? Because I know there's state law coming up next year that is doing something about that.
Can you expound on that?
So,
Really, yeah.
so essentially what he's saying is in lieu of me signing as the sponsor, it would be you as chair.
Yeah.
Which
Because we're the
there's-
executive and legislative authority of the county. And according to that law that is being brought about, that Senator Winterton, that you guys will hear about later, it talks about the authorities of who is able to sign papers.
Kind of like an auto pen,
Like what?
like an auto pen, like authorizing an auto pen to sign your signature.
I'm fine signing it, whatever. I don't,
It doesn't matter. I'm
doesn't
just
matter to
asking
me.
the question is all.
I don't know if that's gonna
I believe the
change
reason
it.
I signed this is because it was the application sponsor, not, it doesn't say that I'm chair of the county or,
Okay.
but like I said, we
It,
can
it says
always,
there you're the administrative manager and we just give you the authority. That's all it is. And so I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure that we're doing everything right.
Yeah, as far as, and I don't know if that law will pass, and if it does, then we may have to rethink things, even with the opioid that you've given me authority to sign for.
Right.
But, so it can be either at this point. We just wanted to make sure it came here before.
As long as we approve it, it's okay.
That's right.
Okay.
As long as you grant authority.
Okay,
I'm fine with that.
all right, I'll look for motion then.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve I'm gonna clarify. You're just looking for approval of the entire contract, the money, or just the signatures?
Just approval of the contract and designating
signatures.
the sig-
Okay.
yeah, that we can sign on behalf of the county.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the contract with entering a grant contract with the state of Utah for the development of public airports, the pavement preservation project, and approving county manager Kate Becker to sign.
I'll second the motion.
Have a motion by Commissioner Nickerson and a second by Commissioner Newton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Kate?
okay. Next up is your Community and Economic Opportunity Board, as part of the $200,000 GO-ED grant that the county receives every year, has budgeted for an additional tranche of grants this year, considered the fall growth grants. So these are their recommendations for the grants that were submitted to be funded.
May I ask some questions?
Go for it.
We didn't receive any information on what they're really gonna do and why they needed it. There's a few of them in here that I have some questions on. And because some of them have been given money in the past for those same items. And so I'm curious, is anything gonna come about from it this time or not? Because there's a few here that have been awarded it 2 times already for the same purpose. And I don't think it's right that we go and give them again for the same thing.
So I'm happy to give you that information. I'm gonna disagree with you that any of these are duplicates because that actually was a reason for several being declined. Was because we would not give monies, like 9 Line was one of the ones that was declined because he was asking for aeronautical tools and we've
Right.
given him
And
grants
we've given it
twice.
twice for that.
Correct.
But you've got Brighton Blades that has had it for the same kind of thing. You've had, and nothing against them.
But we
I have
haven't-
no idea. I mean, but you've got, there's some, website creation. That one was done for 2 years and now they're coming back on a year and a half later and they want to do the same thing again. What did they do the last time with it? And then there's some others here, Wasatch Caregivers, Wasatch Senior Care. I don't even know who they are and what is it they want? They want digital and print marketing for what? I'm just bringing up questions because I was there. I know what was happening, and now we're doing some of the same things. And why are we doing it? We didn't get any information on this, and I think we need to have some information, just a little bit of information about what their plans are, what their purpose is in trying to get these. And of course, why didn't some of them get more than what? They requested more on a small amount, and yet they don't get it. And then we have a construction company that's coming in, and what do they want? What is the? I just want a little more information before we just go and give away all this money that we've got.
Okay.
So that's just my thought.
So there is a process. The county in 2024 did not have essentially rules and regulations or agreements for these grants. So I can't hold anyone liable for our new requirements for the grant that were not in place in 2024. As for the documentation, that you've had this packet for a month or a week, and I could have given you that information at any time. It's public information, except for their financials, which are protected as part of the agreement. These are not my recommendations, they're the recommendations of the CEO board. They go through every single grant, they take out the ones that are disqualified for things like not turning in their financials, not giving 100% of their ownership listings. A big one is people that ask for more money than their previous year's annual revenue. It's not a startup grant, it's a growth grant. As to so they go through and they rate them, and then they take the money that they have and they prorate. Like Milk Barn Creamery, they were asking for 3 milkshake machines, but for their 3 locations, and our grant is specific to, it has to be equipment for Morgan County, so we only approved 1 of the 3.
And that would have been good.
Higby Honey, he's never asked for website upgrades, he's always asked for digital content creation. Wasatch Caregivers is the senior living facility here in town.
I mean, the one upon the family.
Yep, they have to apply under their actual business LLC, which also disqualified some. So this is digital and print marketing for that. So same thing, Hooked Up Plumbing is for digital advertising, trade-specific tools. Achieve Fitness, they asked for $10,000. They're doing a $200,000 building expansion. And just asked for contribution towards the cost of expanding the business. In past, we have given them money for equipment. Climax Tree Service has been given money in the past for, I believe, either a deposit on a vehicle or fixing the engine on an existing vehicle. This is the first time they've asked for website and click optimization. Debs has always had signage or equipment. We've never, since the new There we go. Since the new rules went into place, they've never requested money specifically for website creation. That's actually something we specifically requested that they do because their website is a Facebook page, and not everyone has Facebook. Phoenix House is now the Mountain Green Bean. They asked for a giant screen so they could change their menu without having to print. Destination Sports, we declined 2 of her other grant requests because they were duplicates of years before, but we did approve, or they did recommend for her intern, because we have not done that in the past. Brighton Blades has not been an awardee in several years because their financials did not match, and the hard part was a couple years ago, they were banned from being able to advertise their blades on Facebook because it's a weapon, and that law has since been rescinded, and so now they can advertise again. Confluence Consulting, I don't remember off the top of my head. I can pull it up. Harrow Constructions is actually a roofing company. And Corner Cove, we've given them money towards equipment before, but not that type of equipment. So like I said, I'm happy to share with you what I am able to from that, but these are just the recommendations from the CEO board.
Nice job, Kate. And there's also a smaller board from the CEO board that you know this plan.
So yeah, it goes
through it all.
It goes
vets
to
it all and chooses them. So
yeah, it goes
we
through
request their
It goes through a
opinion.
process, but in the past, we've been able to see a little bit of what some of the things they're doing. When you say we got this a week ago, I'm sorry, it came to my email on Friday night.
Okay.
So I can't talk to you after that point. So, so anyway, besides that, it's just this, so that you've got 2 more that you're gonna do, because this one says the fall grant, growth grant.
No, this is the end of the FY 25-26 money.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Okay, that clears up a lot, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the CEO growth grants as listed in the packet this evening.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Newton and a second by Commissioner Blocker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay. Kate?
Okay. It might just be easier on a lot of these budget adjustments if we just go through, what you guys have allocated from general fund balance to date, before I start asking you for a lot of money. Your general fund balance, as if we haven't spent or libeled any funds out of that account, is sitting at $7.3 million. The commission in Q1 allocated $503,000 of that, mainly from the monies from the previous year, where we were given monies for projects mainly for the Courageous Conversations, the attorney's equipment for the additional attorney, the fire turnout gear, which we were paid for, went into the general fund and then didn't spend it all. Fire cement, you guys approved the cement correction. It didn't get spent that year because they didn't do the cement till the spring. Money went back to general fund. It was rebudgeted. The fire marshal benefits increased because it's a family now instead of an individual. Our workers' comp increased. The GIS benefits increased. The temp staff for the recorder, which you had budgeted for last year, and we just forgot to do that again. And in addition to the SQL software, that was Q1. That was $505,391 out of fund balance. In Q2, you approved $18,254.99 or $18,255 to fix engine 141, which is the fire engine that we got back from WPR. That was a lot of stuff was broken on it. Since then, we've done a lot of capital improvement projects that have either were previously budgeted or have you've since approved budget changes out of. The fairground electrical, original budget for that and the multi-use fields was $855,000 out of general fund. We've got $256,956 that'll come out for fair electrical this year, and the multi-use fields will be $209,625. So that's only $470 instead of $855. The recorder's remodel, when we ran into, some snafus with some bad things in the air, was originally budgeted at $17,000. You ended up spending $39,000 on that project. You approved the repair and painting of the library ceiling at $24,000. You approved the repair and flushing of the library gutters, which were originally estimated at $42,000, ended up only being $24,000. And you approved the replacement of the broken condensers throughout the building, which was $25,000. There was also $100,000 in Taggart's improvements that were budgeted to come out of general fund, but we ended up spending impact fee money on that instead. Two other projects that you obviously still have going. So the building addition and the Croydon fire station. We finally got our perk tests back. We're waiting on the final certificate, and we're still waiting on Mike to sign the contract. Not you, Mike Schultz, to sign the purchase. That's probably not going to break ground this year, being that we do have to go through the subdivision process once that agreement's in place. And to date, you've only spent, well, with the perk test, a little over $10,000 on that project. The building addition, the original bid was $667,367. There's $46,000 left in that. You've approved two major change orders. One when we found out that the building didn't have footings or a foundation to attach to, and the other was the condenser unit replacement and moving. That alone was $100,000. So the project to date is, in addition to the $667,367 original, is $191,000 over budget. And that includes the $100,000, that is including the $100,000 for the footing foundation condenser. That also is including the asbestos remediation, the impact fee we had to pay to the city, having to, well, some of these is, that includes pass-through money, because we also had to move the court office. We had to create a space for the sheriff. We had to rerun the electrical for this printer, just because we were shifting offices. So even though there are additional, here's the additional expenses that I'm asking for essentially tonight. So right now, the vault that was in the recorder's office is sheetrocked off, and it can be used as space for the recorder's office. That will cost us, I just got it today, an additional $16,845 to tear out that wall and sheetrock and paint. The countertop with the Cat 5 cable that she needs to block the public off from her space, but still have an ADA counter and an accessible door, is gonna be $22,857.50, but an additional $8,280 to put the counter glass on it, kind of like Garrett has in his office. You already approved the shelves in the election room, and that's an additional $4,600. We're still waiting on bids to come, 3 bids to come back on that. And then the last ask that I know of is storage. So we tried to pull, if you ever were in her vault, she had that track with the rolling shelves. We tried to repurpose those, and it did not work. I think they're just a little too old, and so she will need a budget for shelving in her storage room. So that being said, I'm asking for essentially just to make us whole and have enough to finish this project, which literally gets painted next Friday. Like, we are essentially done, except for putting in this counter and shelves and moving her hoarder room, which is the new election room that you can't even move in, moving all that stuff back into her space. I'm asking essentially for $115,000 that we can get all these projects done with, and then any of these little change orders, like having to rekey the door, having to move the sheriff's office, having to move the fiber and the Starlink, and the pass-through plan review fee from the city, that will cover all of that. And then I can stop coming back for this, that, and the other. But that's a heck of a lot of projects you guys have done this year. The multi-use fields, the electronic upgrades, the fire station stairs, the sound and tech at the fair, the Aero Pen at the fair, the Crow's Nest at the fair, the recorder remodel, the Croydon fire station, library gutters, condenser replacement, and the library roof ceiling have all either come out of the capital improvement fund, because I used every single penny, or general fund balance.
And so this rest of it, you want us to bring it out of the fund balance?
Fund balance, yep.
So just a couple things, but like the electronic internet, sorry, not science, but like the sound and audio, the Crow's
Those are
Nest,
pass-through grants.
those are passed through. I just wondered if
Yeah.
people were thinking that
Yep,
was passed through
nope.
from the DAF.
We had 3 grants, the Crow's Nest, or the announcer stand at the fair, the sound and tech at the fair, and the Aero Pen for the fair. However, the county did foot the bill for all the electrical
yes.
that needed to be done. And also, I mean, these aren't including the other, the paint and the windows of, because
Sure.
the asphalt, those are all paid for.
I guess the only other question I have, so on with the clerk's office, at what point do we get to try to beg the state for some of the money back?
We
Is
have
that-
to have the project, we talked about this
once it's
today.
complete.
We have to have the project finished.
Okay,
And then they will pay a third.
a third
Yeah.
of it, okay. And I was just curious, like, what that timeline looks
And
like.
at
So some of
one
that,
point-
some of that will be recouped through. the
At one
reimbursement.
point, Leslie had considered asking the commission for monies for desks. She did go and look at the ones at the bank, but they're literally the exact same ones that we have now, which are too big to fit. So,
Lifetime tables it is.
yeah, she
You're doing
thinks,
great.
she
I'm just-
says she has enough in her budget to cover the rest of her, like, the office desks and that kind of stuff.
I walked through the other day, and it's just amazing what we're getting, and I mean, the response from the public has just been, it's about time. So it's been great.
So the impact fee for the city that you said on this part, is there an impact fee for the city?
It's just said the city pass-through fee for plan review. I apologize. So it was plan review fee.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, it's probably not impact.
Does not impact. I apologize.
all right. And the vault? Well, I can go look at it later. But the vault is basically, you've got a vault in the recorder's office, you got a vault in the, your office, Leslie's.
Well, technically, she has a room with a vault door.
Okay,
And so the vault door is now gone.
Okay.
It's sealed off. There is a little hallway that you can access previously from the clerk and the recorder's office. Now it's only on the recorder side.
recorder office,
So that'll allow him, if we just knock out that wall, to take over that whole space. And I believe, I don't want to speak for you, but it was his intent that he would then move Jamie and himself into that space, possibly Charles, or is Charles staying in his hallway? Okay, all three are moving over there, and then where they are currently will be where the surveyor is.
okay.
That's good too. Space for that.
Yeah.
So what was the dollar amount you said, 115?
115 will more than get us finished, and again, I will not transfer any money until the end of the year when I know we've actually spent it. Same with the, like the fairgrounds, we anticipated to transfer 855, but I'm really only gonna have to transfer 470. So it doesn't make sense to transfer the money and then it sit in fairground
Or
fund
revert
balance.
back to,
Yeah.
They give us no discount on impact fees.
It wasn't an impact fee, it was a plan review fee.
but no, they
So
didn't
I
give
can
us
tell you-
discounts on any fees.
When,
So just to give
That's
you,
why we spent $35,000 on a fee for the fairgrounds.
For why would we be paying that at the fairgrounds when it's our property?
it's
the
their
electrical.
electric.
the electrical comes from the city, so they get to review it.
So I just did the electrical at the house, at my house, and went from a 60 amp to 150. It cost me $3,000 in impact fees.
Maybe we ought to get our own power company up here?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, I'm glad we're doing an impact fee study because we're clearly way behind. in
Yeah.
What we're charging, if they're charging
We
$3
need to
grand to
increase
an
our fees for
old
the
house.
sheriff's
The
department.
sad thing is it's taxpayer dollars regardless.
I know,
Yeah,
I know,
It's like, couldn't we be mutual beneficial between the city and the county?
yeah.
Doesn't appear so.
We do the same thing with the school district too. I mean, well, they do
We
with
have,
us, I
yeah.
should say, where they're charging us to use their facilities and it's all the same taxpayers are paying for it.
Yeah.
So
so then while you stew on that question of the 115, remember there's still 2/3. A power surge. There we go. Okay. There's still 2/3 of the building that are not done yet. We have intentions for that space, obviously. We know what we're hoping to put in that space. But none of it right now is what, unlike the clerk's office, is what we'd consider an immediate need. So it was not my intent to finish that this year and to build that into the FY27 budget. But
So how much is that going to be, do you think?
I have no idea.
And what, I mean, weren't we planning on doing sheriffs?
Sheriffs and planning and
courts?
zoning.
What's that?
I am not moving courts again. That was a nightmare, and they are not easy to work with. I was gonna do planning and zoning and the sheriff's office.
Means we're gonna have a different place for the planning and zoning, or is that?
So planning and zoning would be in the addition, because the two offices that are on top of each other right now is planning and zoning and Koyans.
Okay.
And it
So
would be
from the
really
current-
nice,
from
as
the
we've
current
learned.
Planning and zoning, we won't have that part anymore? Is that
We'll,
what it
I
is?
mean, we'll still have it. It won't be planning and zoning.
Alright.
That'll be a
And
discussion
so
on
they'll have to
needs.
come into the planning and zoning from a different area, not from within.
It's connected.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But as we've seen, especially with all these rotating offices, because we still need to remediate the assessor's office, but I can't do that because I don't have anywhere for them to go. There is a need for meeting space that we just don't have, so that might,
You might still have to think of the auditorium. For
So,
something.
there's a lot of ideas on what it could be. I'm just telling you, it is not my intent in this FY to come forth with an additional ask to finish the other part of the building.
So, could we?
Absolutely could.
Do we have the money for it?
Yes, you do.
Because I noticed we did have some money. What would it take?
I can get estimates, but you guys will need to decide what you want to do with that space as it is your space.
I think we ought to look at that
Kind of
next.
who we want to move in and how you design it to work best for who's gonna go in there.
Yeah.
Instead of just a general, you know, what are the needs of that department that's gonna move in?
So why don't we, this is just off the side, why don't we try to have that discussion maybe next commission meeting?
I will try to get, well, you mean as far as
Why would we-
intended use?
Have it in conjunction with the budget discussion.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
And if we decide that
budget's
there's funds available and to
sooner
pull
rather
the
than
trigger
later,
sooner,
so-
great, right?
Okay, that's fine.
Kind of see where we're at on the budget.
Because remember, we're not done with this agenda yet, and I still need to ask for a couple $100,000.
Now, $349.
Well, that was an easy way to throw it out there.
Leave that in there.
I will say this, I think, you know, we've done a lot of projects, we've spent a lot of money for sure. But I think it's been done prudently, as prudently as possible, and I'm proud of that and appreciate all those in this building who have dealt with the headache of moving offices multiple
Headache is a
times
great word.
to make it happen. So thank you to our employees that are dealing with that. It's not easy to work on a plastic table, I get that. So,
But you do it
especially if
so
you have to
well.
work that close to one another, they're all gonna need a vacation after this. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're painting, you're close, they're painting.
So that being said, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the transfer, potential transfer of up to $115,000 from the general fund balance to cover the remaining change orders for our building addition and finish this project up.
I'll second.
A motion by Commissioner Newton and a second by Commissioner Nickerson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Motion's unanimous.
Okay, while your checkbook's out.
I dropped my.
The commission approved a new ambulance in the October 2025 budget meeting. At the time that you signed that agreement, it anticipated a delivery date of 18 months out. So we did not budget for it in FY '27, but it's going into production now, and they're anticipating to have it to us sometime in October, which goes to, I need the money to pay for it. And we didn't budget for it this year because we anticipated to budget for it in FY '27.
This is in addition to the ambulance that,
Yeah, WPR is giving us an ambulance, well, their foundation,
The
WPR
foundation.
Foundation is, and then you ordered an additional ambulance,
So,
which I'm very glad because the same ambulance right now is $462.
so, a question for that
and it was
is-
$220 when we bought it in.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. So in this one, it has a charge in there of $4,000 or $4,800 or whatever for transportation. Can our people go back there and get that?
So,
instead?
so what happens is they bring us the shell, they ship the shell to the staker person, not staker person, the ambulance
Pierce.
company in Salt Lake, and then they outfit it with everything that so that our crew can sit there and say, this is supposed to have a
So
lift
that's
and,
gonna be additional cost too.
no, it's built in.
Okay,
It's
alright.
just the shell is built somewhere.
Okay.
They ship the shell to Salt Lake, just like our fire truck, and then they spec it out in Salt Lake. And then we drive it home from there. But the shipping cost is the shell of the vehicle, which is the bulk of what takes so long.
And I'd like to add, I believe Commissioner Newton, you can clarify for me if I'm wrong, but talking to Brad, the new chief, is that as we move forward, we'll wear out the truck before the box, and we'll be able to, so in the future, just pick that box up, stick it on the new truck, which will save us a ton of money going in the future. So he's already looking at those kind of things, like, yes, we'll just have to buy a truck and a chassis, and we'll pick that thing up and set it on the new one, and so I think we're moving in the right direction, thinking forward.
And rotating.
Yeah, and the other thing that he mentioned, and I don't think it was in front of the whole commission, maybe it was. Did he say this in front of everybody, that the intent is that all of these ambulances will be exactly the same inside?
Yep.
We're not customizing things. We're buying basically off the shelf, so to speak. They still build them for you, but they're not as far out. And because they'll all be the same, when an EMT is in one ambulance, they'll know where to reach for certain needs, and it'll be the same in each vehicle, which will also improve our care. So I think we're really going in the right direction in terms of that as well. So
I think he said that at the meeting about the fire. We were
That's-
sitting there talking.
that's
about
probably
it,
what it
so,
was.
yeah.
It has been lovely to have a ambulance at the Peterson station. That one isn't, we call it the Bates Motel of ambulances. Like it'll save your life, but we're not gonna transport you in it. It doesn't have the best chassis. So the intent is that we would put the new one out the new one would stay here. Our current decent one will go there. We'll keep the other one and we'll use that for football games, rodeos, that kind of stuff, and parts.
So the ambulance we got that was in the COVID time, is that in operation or not? And so that's 4 we'll have, or 3?
what's that?
Will that be 4 ambulances we have now with that one?
Once we receive this one
Yes.
and
It
the
would be
WPR Foundation one, we will have 4.
Okay, all right, thank you.
4 that are newer.
Yeah, so, and, okay,
We're gonna probably have to put one up in
Croydon.
Croydon, right?
Yeah.
I think they're gonna put the one that she mentioned that's
The Bates
the
Motel.
older one there, because the chance of
The
transporting
life
is not.
The life
But-
save up there. on
But if we can
value.
save a life, we can
Right,
save a
it'll
life,
have
right? Like
equipment.
it'll have the equipment to do
We did some
that.
life support.
And if you have to transport, you can transport in it. It's just,
You don't want that thing at highway speeds.
we
You
wanna
don't
be
have to.
careful.
So
yeah.
what we've been doing in Mountain Green is we respond, and then the better ambulance shows up for transport if a transport is needed.
Okay,
So at least getting the life-saving equipment too.
Yeah.
so what is the plans for getting a better truck that we can take that shell and put it onto a better vehicle?
Or ways out.
Oh, I don't know about that particular shell. We haven't talked about that one, whether that one will be re-chassied or not. We probably need to find that out. I don't know what
That
Brad's
one was
plan
pretty
is.
old. The commission approved in budget last year to pay in last year. It was one of the budget adjustments you did towards the end of the year to put the hydraulic lift in it, because it didn't even have a hydraulic lift.
I think it was just going forward, the newer ones.
Yeah.
will
Newer
be that.
ones will all be,
Okay, all right. Good luck. Can't just buy another one then, eventually.
I will say when we made the presentation to the Wasatch Peaks Foundation regarding the ambulance back in, would have been November. They specifically asked, what's the lifespan on these? And we said, 5 to 7 years. And they said, well, then we ought to be thinking about the next one too. So I know it's on their minds to be thinking about even a replacement after this down the road, which makes me feel good that they're considering that. That's not a guarantee, but hopefully the commission down the road asks for some help on that too.
Well, I think just remembering that they are there, they're willing, but we have to ask, and then I think be aware of what it is we're asking for, like,
And maybe they could cut back on the beef and pig purchases. Throw it towards ambulance.
I don't know, I bet that kid that got 18 grand for his steer is
17
pretty
grand.
stoked.
That's crazy.
That wasn't the foundation though.
It was WPR's.
It was the business,
It was
not the
ranch, yeah,
foundation.
WPR
Yeah.
ranch.
Sure, different.
Okay, so we had did we vote on
No.
115? I had a motion by
sorry.
Commissioner Newton and a second by Commissioner Nickerson.
No,
Thought
we
we
Thought we
didn't.
did.
I thought for the 115 for the building.
Okay.
Yeah, we
But
did.
not, then,
Oh, for the ambulance.
The ambulance is a second discussion. So, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve. I will
So is
also
this
note-
coming out of general fund?
So there's 2 ways we could handle this. We could go get a lease on it. That's how we were doing everything when I came. I don't think that's the best idea. We pay a lot of interest.
I don't think it is. either.
We've got $6+ million in the general fund balance. I would rather we just pay it outright and not pay the interest on it. Because if we do a lease on this, it's going to be a $50,000 or $60,000 a year payment for the next 7 or 8 years, and we're going to pay probably $50,000 or $60,000 in interest.
So last year at budget, we did start to put in $200,000 a year, I believe, into fleet. That's gone, right?
No, you haven't.
I thought we had to.
I thought we started doing that last year. I thought we had a fleet fund.
We do have a fleet fund, but I don't know that we
You
put
talked
extra
about
in
it, but I don't think you actually did. Well, I think I got the budget right here.
Yeah, if that is the case and there's
Well,
extra
Leslie.
funds in the fleet fund, it's gonna roll right back to
Well,
the
that's what
general
I'm saying. I mean,
fund.
whether
You
it
remember
comes from
that,
there.
Leslie? Okay.
For some reason, I thought we started building a fleet fund for replacement of vehicles.
Nope.
I don't think we've done
Negative.
we ought to think about that at some
Okay, personally, I would feel like I don't want to pay interest.
No, I think you just,
That's
we got
how-
the money, let's not pay interest on it.
Okay.
So,
All right. I'll
Mr.
let-
Chair, I move that we approve the purchase of the new ambulance, total price of $345,744 to be paid out of the general fund balance.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Newton and a second by Commissioner Fackrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
So
Floor.
we have your Tourism Tax Advisory Board has a local event fund. You guys have approved projects, or one out of this before. This was for more gala days. There was a miscommunication on her getting things turned in beforehand. I think, she was told by someone that she already had it. So she did put the Explorer. I said, well, it has to have the Explorer Morgan Valley logo on it, which it did. And then, so she's requesting $1,000, which is usually what we give for local, events for advertising.
And that's for local advertising.
Yep.
I mean, local within
Local
the
events
region.
to bring people in to the county.
Yeah.
So she did an every door direct mail to Huntsville, Ogden, and Mount Ogden. So is requesting $1,000 in advertising expense reimbursement, and that will come out of that budget line.
Right. That's what the purpose of that sales tax is for.
We had a
is
good
for-
turnout too. It was effective, so I think
Yeah.
great event.
Great event, and anything we can bring in for tourism dollars, best.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the reimbursement of $1,000 in advertising expenses from the Tourism Tax Advisory Board Local Event Fund.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Newton, a second by Commissioner Blocker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
This is our annual wool growers predator control grant agreement. So last year was 21,000. It went up by $100. This is a pass-through. The county pays it, but then half of it's reimbursed by contributions from local wool growers, and then the other is reimbursed by UDAF, but it usually takes several months, more like 4 or 5, to get that second half. So technically, it's no cost to the county, but we are the comptroller, and so it will come out of the account. This is the one that we had an issue with last year because I guess the agreement went to Robert McConnell's email instead of any of you. And so now it comes directly to me. So we will be essentially paying this. It'll look like in your financials that you're paying this twice in 1 year. And it's because we should have paid one last fall and then this one this fall. So I do need to do a budget adjustment to account for the pass-through money, which of $9,700. But again, it's pass-through, it's no expense to the county.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agreement with UDAF for the purpose of predator management and the committal of the funds, which are pass-through funds, up to $21,100.
I have a motion by Commissioner Newton and a second by Commissioner Fackrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, who's going to UAC?
I am.
I am.
Not aye.
I won't be.
Okay, so Mike is a no. Matt's a no. Raylene, you said yes?
Yes.
You usually go
She goes
early,
Late
right?
For
And
the
so do I for the
Board
public
meeting.
lands.
Okay. Blanco's currently,
I will not be able to.
Vaughn's a no.
So just two of us.
Okay, so Raylene and Blaine is who I'm registering.
Okay.
Yes, any guess?
No, not for me.
Okay. And then, so that's all I have. Oh, I guess, do you guys vote on? I forget on that one. On who's attending.
We just have to have consent. Is
Consensus,
everybody
okay.
good with that?
Okay, and then, hold on, let me write early. Okay, and then the next one, and you guys don't have to decide on this tonight, but they did post the USAC dates. That's November 18 and 20. Registration's not open yet. I just wanted to put it in the back of your heads that these are the dates, and 2 years ago, when we had Commissioner-elects, we invited them to attend as well. So you have it in the budget if you guys choose to do that. So I don't necessarily need a decision on that tonight. I just wanted to get that on your calendar. Okay.
I'm great with them going. I think it would be a waste of money for me to go, so.
Well, you
30
have until November to
30
decide
day.
that. Okay, that is all.
But I wish I would have had BOE training 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And speaking of BOE, I have BOE training next Tuesday, Wednesday, so I won't be physically here, but I obviously have my laptop everywhere I go. But the 25th is the day that the state auditor's office will be here. So
Do we need to do anything with that?
I know both attorneys are stand at the ready.
Well, I just didn't know if any of the commissioners, like, since I'm on the
Leslie's shaking her head, please no.
here.
I don't think we need to make a big deal of it. I think that
I don't think it'll be a problem, so.
Okay, Commissioner Blocker.
I have just, oh, here we go. I've just discovered that Chloe has multiple talents. She's a very bright person, and we need some communication for our county. I know we have a Facebook page, kind of. Yeah. Be nice if we could keep it updated. Maybe have a newsletter.
The commission, well, before I got here, dissolved the Facebook page, but I don't think anyone deleted it. And then when we created a policy for social media, a month or two ago, they officially dissolved it, but we're still trying to figure out how to get into the account to shut it off. So the only two active social medias that the county has that I know of is emergency management and animal control.
Is that right? I think there is one for planning.
Oh, and rec probably has
recreation.
one. I just,
and Historical Society, yes.
but there's no.
So I just wanted
Explore Morgan, Utah.
everyone to think about how is a better way to communicate with our county. Chloe has a background in marketing and communications. She would be a great person to use here if you want to talk to her about it and see what her background is. But that's a number one complaint in the county is people feel like they don't know what's going on. And of course, I always say you can go watch it on YouTube, you can look it up, you can sign up for the notifications. But I think people are just looking for a summarized, dumbed down version of what is going on in the county. So that's something that was just on my mind. If you want to think about it, maybe we can discuss it at a later meeting.
I think it's a great idea. Been wanting to do it for a long time.
We lost our chair.
Yep, he had to step out for a minute, so I'll step in there. Commissioner Newton?
Nothing urgent at this point.
Commissioner Fackrell?
Yeah, I'd like to see if we can get the audit report on the next agenda for the commission to approve it.
Oh, the audit. Yeah, it's already
Okay, all right, thank you. And some of the things that happened in my One Utah Summit last 2 weeks ago, there's, I hate to really say it, it was not as good as the ones in the past. I was disappointed and I told them that. But what happened this time, which was very, very good, is that there were a lot of legislators there. The lieutenant governor was there. The governor was there. Most everybody was there, and what was happening is within that we're able to network, and that's where I'm finding out some of these bills that are going to be coming out in next year that we will be finding out more information on in our USAC and our UAC meetings. Maybe not UAC, but in USAC we will be. There's a few of them that are coming out by Senator Winterton, Senator Evan, can't think of his last name. You just graduated from there.
Did I graduated One
rural-
Utah Summit? Thank you.
Yeah, she graduated at the Rural Utah Leadership Academy, and I cannot remember, is it Vickers, Senator Vickers. And anyway, there was a lot going on in that. Some of the things that happened that we need to be concerned about. And this is something I think we need to be looking at, such as when we have things like what the city has done and other entities as far as power goes. There is other kinds of power that is available that can be used in our county. And we could basically, I mean, it would be a neat partnership to possibly do. And that is with a newer technology that is actually working in Orangeville, Utah right now. And it's one that is smaller, and it's contained, and it will provide over gigawatts of power, which is more than we need for our area, the whole area. So that is something that maybe we need to partner with the city or whatever the city is doing and see what we can do, because they're the power company, not us. But that's a potential of something. That was one that Joel Ferry from the Utah Division of Natural Resources was talking about. And so that was one of the things. And I mean, I've got pages of it, of everything that happened. And the biggest thing is the funding for projects in UDOT. And we are already aware of some of those things that happen. Kate's up on top of it. And we've got a meeting, on August 31st? For something to do with our transportation down there at the interchange. And they were talking about that a little bit too, as to how to get that information and what's going on. In my active transportation meeting, there are some projects that are going on right now, and I need to, you guys that are on the RPO need to be considering these, but there is within the Utah Trails Network a project of design for a trail down through the canyon. Okay? That's connecting Morgan to Weber and Davis counties. So there is a structural design that is being done in that. We discussed with Stephanie Tomlin about that is our biggest need up here in Morgan County, is the structural design for a lot of these trails. And these are for paved trails. These are not the recreation trails. These are the main trails to keep our county safe, and bikers to safe, and people that walk on these paved trails safe. So these are some things that we need to be looking at, and you guys need to continue on with that. We don't have to do whatever. You can do what you want, but these are things that we could do to help out. In the tourism board meeting that I went to, we were the recipient of the co-op grant. We received a co-op grant award of $56,700, which will be used for marketing and other things that happen in the county. They also talked about a visitor economy, and the biggest thing is with the visitor economy, visitors make life better in Utah. And the biggest thing is making sure that people are aware of it. We've got to identify our customer. We've got to tell the story. And the nice thing is it brings in tax dollars to the county. And we need to be targeting to the correct visitors that we want here. Next year, of course, is the Salt Lake Temple open house. And because of that, they're expecting a lot of people coming in here, and we have a major portion of the pioneer heritage that came through Morgan County. Of course, a lot of it got burned up, unfortunately. But the other part, which is from Mormon Flats and Large Springs up to the top of Big Mountain and down the other side, that is one of the things that that they have discussed, and they would like to have us work on that. Good luck. Okay, whoever takes that over. Also, there were some other items on films, and we could center on films if we want to, but for everybody's information, there is there's some films that have been made that are in Utah, and one of them is already out, and it's called The Daughter She Left Behind. And it was out on the 15th. The Chosen in the Wild is on Prime Video, it came out on the 9th of August. Eddie is a Loser. It's in the theater starting September 4th, which would probably be a very good one for people. And Mouse on August 21st. There's also The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. That one's coming up. It has not set a date yet, and if you've been there, I haven't. But for those that like Skinwalker Ranch, that's coming up. They're spending in all these co-op grants that just happened, over $4,064,000 is what went out through the state grants, and this is all from tourism dollars that have come in, and that's from that tourism tax that we receive from us going out to eat, and any prepared foods, that's part of it, and from lodging that comes in. And so those are things that are beneficial to the state and to us, and I'm hoping that in the future that we will continue to work on those items. And we had a meeting at the Economic Alliance, the One Utah Summit with Brad Wilson. And he says that what he would like to see happen more than anything right now in the next few years is for education courses to be incorporated into our schools. And so if anybody has meetings with the schools, you might want to bring that up. And those are things that should happen to incorporate the youth in trying to build the Olympics. And since our county is one of the major components of the Olympics, that's another area that you're going to have to work on, which is in transportation of that. So I'm hoping you are aware of that. Make sure. Okay, that's it for now. Oh, unless you want me to continue. I figured that.
Thanks for reporting on that, though. Appreciate it.
Did you already go, Mike, or?
Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Akerson.
We did have our Conservation District meeting this last week. I think, Kate, did you get the email about the updated application for the?
Do I need to post that on the
If we
website?
could, yeah, we got the one on there, if we could swap that to the newest.
I have a question about that. The weed, that, what do they call it?
Dyer's Ward.
Mitigation stuff where you could submit your receipts to show that, I submitted receipts in
They-
early June and never heard a word from
So,
them.
because June, they're on that fiscal year, so the checks were actually, they had them at the meeting, you should be receiving, those checks should be.
So they did do something with it?
Correct.
Okay.
You should
I
be
didn't know
receiving
what, I just never heard anything back. There was
Oh.
no email, nothing.
The last, because it ends the end of June, that's their fiscal year, so they're getting all those reimbursements. So last week when we had our meeting, they were signing all the checks, because they have to have two signatures, so great question. So yeah, those that are waiting on checks, they should be arriving. But we do have that grant again, it's up
So we're too late to put in?
for last year's money. You can start putting in right now, it's up.
Really?
Yep,
For next year.
For next year. So instead of waiting till June, go purchase your herbicide now, and you can actually apply. So we'll get that changed on the website. It is an updated application. So if people want to do that, that money is available for reimbursement for your herbicide. Just going to kind of go down the list here. Through that part of that grant, we did, for next year, we'll have 4 backpack sprayers, 2 ATV trailers, and 1 sprayer trailer available for loan to residents. So if you need to, so you can not only get reimbursed for your herbicide, you can also borrow. Those items will be available for loan. And so we're just getting those, and those will be available next year. So
That's fantastic.
so that's it on the Conservation District. We do have Grow Your District coming up September 16th for those that are participating in the Conservation District. Our what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like our growers, you know, the wool growers, the beef farmers, agriculture people. So that's coming up the evening of September 16th. I did receive a letter, and it's been a couple of weeks ago, from a business, and this is something that I don't know if we've discussed, but it's about regarding swimming pools. Right now, our county code does require any swimming pool to be fenced with a 6-foot fence. Most areas around us, it sounds like, have gone to allowing certified covers instead of a fence. So I did receive a letter there, because some HOAs, whatnot, they may not allow certain fences. Personally, I'm kind of like, it's up to the homeowner. What do you want to put on? It's your responsibility, it's your swimming pool. But right now, our code does require a fence. Is that something we want to look at as far as, hey, if this certified whatever type cover will support so much weight, is that something we want to look at as allowing a homeowner to do? Personally,
Absolutely.
I think more options is better. And so if that's something,
I will tell you that a cow will stay on top of my cover.
really,
Yeah.
then I'm not worried about walking on one then, if it'll hold that cow. So I feel good about it. So, and so again, I did receive a letter, and I think the fences are expensive, and most people have a cover for it anyways, to keep dirt and leaves and children and whatnot. So I wasn't sure if that was something to bring here to task staff. Do we need to bring that to a commission meeting to task them to do something, or just see what the feeling is of the commission? So.
I think we could give that task.
Yeah, I think
Just
it would
We've
be
done
good.
it before.
So is everybody?
What other counties have that?
I don't know of any that,
I mean, I have a pool, and often your cover breaks annually, so it's just open until you can afford to get it fixed. So that is a concern of mine. I do have a few concerns of wandering children, maybe if there is a broken cover or it's left open or something like that. It is a concern. Still, I'd like to research what other
no,
counties.
that's sort of, I can provide the letter, and I believe they stated a few of the cities and counties around us. I'm happy to, I brought it with me, we can make some copies. What?
I was gonna say, we need to find out where Matt got his cover, because if it holds a cow, we gotta find out what it does require that, if they're gonna have that.
Covers do, they say an elephant.
Yeah, they're rated for however many thousands of pounds, but again, that was, maybe before we leave tonight, I can make some copies real quick.
I'll turn it back on. For you, I will.
Thanks. Let's see. I think we did announce the car show coming up at the airport. The car show that he'll have food trucks. It was a great success last year. It's actually grown even bigger this year. So please come out. I believe it's the 29th. I have the time down. 4:30 to 7:30, I believe, is the time. So come out, bring your kids. They can look at airplanes, and he's going to have some supercars, real high-end automobiles. So it should be a pretty good time. Food trucks, come get some food. The public can come and check out our airport and see what's, to that area. So it's pretty exciting to see this kid that decided to do this, and he's donating money and just enjoys it. So support him. And then I just wanted to shout out to everybody that helped with our fire. Our local fire department, our chief, emergency management, the state that stepped in, tankers dropping liquids, our local farmers and their equipment. I want a special shout out to Commissioner Newton. He was instrumental in getting a lot of the word out and being up there and dispersing that. I was part of the email chain, but just to keep it simple, it was good to, it was really great to just watch that coordination. Our public works guys spent hours on our county dozer up there pushing fire lines. We had a meeting the other night, and the gentleman kind of in charge of everything, he says they usually don't have problems where people are wanting to help. And he says this was a unique problem for them, as they had so many people offering dozers and graders and equipment. He goes, they kind of started to get in the way. And he's like, they were having some problems. He goes, we don't have this problem. And Mike and I both were like, welcome to Morgan. That's what we do. We have a great community. People, they care about their neighbors. And so I can't, I'm sure I'm going to leave somebody out, but just an amazing I hope I never have to deal with it, something like this again as a commissioner. But to just watch the community come together, commissioners, public safety, state, federal agencies, I mean, just was all, I mean, Kate was rounding up goats and mules and peacocks, and it was really exciting to watch. So just a shout out to everybody if I forgot to name you, but I think that was kind of a highlight for me. Just, yes, the fire was a huge problem, but the way it was handled, no structures. I guess they burned an old cabin burned up, and then the platform for Warrior Risen Ranch's yurt, which I guess was pretty rotted, they said was burned, but no deaths, no injuries, no homes. It was just a great community effort just by everybody. So thank you to everybody that got up there and did it. So.
If I can add to that,
Please.
those weren't just state firefighters. That was our firefighters. Yep. All the ambulances were our ambulances. All the medics were our medics. All the EMTs were our EMTs. Even though we lucked out or we breathed harder in the correct direction and it pushed to Summit County, our dozers, our public works, our emergency management director, our firefighters, our ambulances were boots on grounds in Hennifer. North Summit contributed and other departments in like Park City backfilled North Summit. But we took care of our own, and so you will see that in payroll. However, all that gets reimbursed by the state, but checks in the mail. But so you will see a pretty hefty payroll come through this next payroll cycle. But I know I was joking with Erica, or Chief White, or your emergency management director, who is acting fire chief, because our fire chief got called up to the front lines. I told her after that beautiful rainbow we had Thursday night, I said on the 7th day, Erica rested. But I know I felt like I didn't contribute much, but I still put in a 78-hour week, so I can only imagine what she did and Chief did, and people were so kind and kept wanting to bring donations, but they were very well fed. But just reminding people that even though the big fire is over, these are your citizens, these are your, Garrett's wife was up at Incident Command up at East Canyon, and I got a bonus hug from her during one of our Incident Command meetings, but it looked like a war zone up at East Canyon. It's just a bunch of yurts and helicopters going by filling up water, but those are our faces and our people that were up there. So even though we, God willing, and the creek don't rise, literally, because our next issue is going to be flooding. We're hoping that the IC team dissolves on Friday. So they did very, very well in a 2-week span of time. No residential structures. Did we learn a lot of things about communication and cross-county connectivity? Absolutely. And that we'll definitely have an after-action review on that. But if you're wanting to thank firefighters, these aren't just people from Salt Lake, they're your neighbors. So you are welcome by our fire station anytime. They really love Monster energy drinks and Rock Stars and what? Alani's. There was some bougie sparkling water, so they will never turn down snacks and groceries at our fire station here in Morgan. So you're welcome anytime.
I noticed with that, there were firefighters from Santa Fe, New Mexico up here helping us. Because they drove by my house a couple of times. Anyway, they were, I don't remember which day they were leaving, but there was people from all over. And I saw a bunch of fire trucks and I'm happy. I'm happy that it can be a concerted effort between everybody, including, especially our own. And that brings me to another point, if I may add it. Hennifer City, you might want to look towards this. They would like to do the same thing with the fire station that we did with North Summit Fire Station as a cooperative agreement.
That's already in the works. When we get the Croydon one live.
Oh, when it goes live?
Yep.
Yeah, because I mean, they were saying we had done it with North Summit, they would like to do it again. They would also like to do it with us, because they're a full-time fire station there too.
3 of our employees live in it. So
Yeah, I know that.
it was a scary week for them.
Yeah, very scary. I mean, I saw dry farms that people had that were, I mean, I don't know how many, how the livestock I don't think got ruined. None of them were hurt. They're in different places and people are now
We lost some
without.
cows. We didn't. Those were dumb Summit County cows. Morgan County cows.
They were
are
smart enough to get out.
And
Yeah.
we didn't lose any Morgan County cows.
What I'm worried about is the wildlife, you know, how much we lost there. Because they don't have a direction to go. And I hope the DWR will let us know if they can at a later date what happened. Do we have any plans for assisting to revegetate any of this stuff? For the
At this
public
point, we're
lands?
more worried about our flood likelihood, because when we open the road back up and you go up East Canyon, literally everything to the left is gone.
I know.
There's no scrub oak, there's no grass, it is solid black. So there is nothing stopping water and mud from sloughing off that road. So actually a lot of what's been going on this week and the end of last week, before that blessed rain came, was sandbagging. So that's gonna be our number one focus probably through the flood season, which is October, end of October. And so I don't know who's.
I didn't know if they were going to try to put, get us, because right now, if they wanted to put certain grasses in, it would be a great time to put it in. So I'm hoping the DWR, the DNR is working on that, Division of Lands and Forestry, or Fires and Forestry. I'm hoping they're working on it, because that is a major thing they could do right now and get some vegetation and roots into the ground right now.
Okay. I'll reach out
And
to
then as
Mercer.
far as our trail that we were gonna build up there, is that?
Yeah, I have a meeting
that-
tomorrow with our COG to see where that's gonna go.
Okay.
So, yeah. I will say I had some of, yeah, I've had some of my colleagues in Hawaii County, Hawaii, reach out and, just check on us. And they kind of had to brag, because when they get lava slides, 2 years later, they still can't cut a road because the lava is still hot. At least we get rain and we can, now if you go up there, all the, those white snow pedestals that let you know, like, here's the end of the road, they are just melted. But I'll take that over lava. I will take a wildfire of 16,000 acres, no residential structures, over a lava slide. So.
For the rest.
And
We did, speaking of the flooding though, had a meeting to talk about the fire last week, and Erica said, I need some more sandbags filled. We had asked what can we do to help, and she said, I need some sandbags filled. I made one phone call. They had enough people show up there to fill 1,000 sandbags in an hour and a half. They
That's what
filled
I
them,
love
put them on
about
pallets, it was ready to go. I mean, it was amazing. So our community is awesome. They just showed up and did it. They didn't care who it was for or what it was for, they just did it, so. Pretty cool.
We do live in a wonderful community, for sure. I just wanted to see, I know everybody loves responding to job forms. Garrett, could you speak to, do we use flock cameras in our county?
What are they first?
There's one in Morgan County.
There's surveillance cameras.
There's one in Morgan County. It is across the street from 7-Eleven, which is a state, so it's on a state highway. It's the only one in Morgan County. But like it's not like they asked our permission to put it up, so I don't know if it's UDOT's permission or what, so.
It might be something that we'd want Sheriff Stark to speak to. I know he's told me about something in the past that can, but I don't know if it's the same cameras that he was telling me about. So I would just be not speaking from personal knowledge. But I think he would be the one that would know.
You said it's at 485 East 300 North. I can drive by there and look.
You can see it on.
Yeah,
the
you
pole,
can
right
see it on
across
the
from-
pole.
It's maybe 12 feet up on the pole, right across from 7-Eleven.
So is that a personal one that somebody put up?
No,
No, it's on the,
it's connected to law enforcement.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It
I was gonna say,
basically,
because there's-
they scan license plates. They look at your license plate, is what it does.
Oh, okay.
I hear there's a Rust-Oleum paint, like a clear coat you can, and it blocks it. You can do.
It is,
What's that? Yeah, I'm. It's like,
Okay.
I don't think your county attorney is
I have-
appreciating property damage.
I have private
But yeah,
cameras.
so do you want me to have Corey come next meeting and speak to it? Okay.
I just want to know what law is and stuff like that.
I have no
so I just
idea.
understand it, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I just AI'd it real quick to see if our county, and it says that we weren't registered with any, I guess you register those with, and they share the information, so. I said Morgan
Yeah.
County's not a part of that organization, so. Okay. Also, I just, new commissioners, hopefully, I guess, is it gonna still be required to go to BOE? I think that would be,
Yeah, I think it's a law now.
It's a law.
and
You have to have a certificate on file. So if you're not turning your certificate to Chloe, I know you're about to say that. If you're not turning your certificate in to Chloe or Leslie, they will
I know
hunt
it's-
you.
I know it's more convenient to do online, but I'll tell you, Tammy and Patrick, it's fun to interact with everyone there, and I learned a lot. I know they had to put up with me, Chloe had to put up with me, but it was good for me to be able to ask those questions and give scenarios and have them answer them, and she's got a lot of experience, and I learned a lot just to go out.
So just a reminder, when you're done taking the class, whether it's online or in person, you do have to submit a request for your certificate. They don't send you one automatically, and then that's what Leslie and Chloe will need for records.
They had me fill out something and said that they would be sending it to us.
I told them to watch out for the Morgan County people, because we're not good at paper.
Tammy did it the day we were here. She did mine. I don't think I've seen that.
Because she sent it to me.
Oh, so you got mine?
Yeah,
Sweet. Mine's done.
she sent it to mom.
Give it to me.
As fun as this has been, I move that we adjourn.
Okay, all right.
Second.
Thank you.
Have a motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?